Welcome to Something More to Podcast, where we move through topics wherever the conversation takes us. I'm your host, Richard Collins.
And I'm Adam Culbertson. Big in the news right now in this country. Sorry again for anybody listening in other countries. The Mueller report.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to go over too much. You actually asked me what I thought about it yesterday, or asked me if I had seen it yesterday. And I was just being sick the past couple days. I haven't really looked too much at the news until late last night and early this morning.
Right.
So I'm going to let you.
So I guess when it really comes down to it, Mueller came out, made like a whole like public statement about the report and everything. Like on the one hand, he did say, this is the last that I want to talk about this. Like, I'm going to decline any invitation to go speak in front of Congress. And all of this is because even in the statement, he's saying the exact same thing that he said in the report. Yeah. He wants the report to speak for itself. In a nutshell, he basically said, we investigated all of these things. One, I couldn't find enough evidence to say that there was necessarily any collusion, which I'm sure is what the Trump supporters want. And it is what it is. But the other point, the one that's really caused so much contention right now, is he lays out very plainly, like both in the report and in the statement, that it is the policy of the Department of Justice to not indict a sitting president. Mm-hmm. And so he basically took that to mean, well, if I can't indict him, then it would not be right of me to say that I think he should be indicted.
Yeah.
So, when it comes down to it, he said, if I found evidence, if I had concluded, if I had found enough to say that he absolutely did not obstruct justice, then I would say he did not obstruct justice.
Yeah.
But I cannot do that.
Yeah. And there's, I was just glancing over Reddit comments, just browsing through articles and stuff like that, and there's apparently multiple cases of obstruction,
mm-hmm.
Not collusion, but obstruction,
right?
Which is, it's pretty bad.
It is very bad. I mean, one way or another, even if there's no collusion, this is tampering in the process of things. Yep. Like, that is really overstepping your bounds and basically saying, oh, well, I don't want you investigating this, so I'm not going to let you do your job.
Yeah.
And it really kind of points to, well, maybe there was something, because, if you don't have anything to hide, then why are you hiding things?
Yeah. Well, there's proof of obstruction. Why is there obstruction? Why is Trump obstructing?
Mm-hmm.
If there is no collusion.
Yeah.
Like, so it makes you think, like, all these secret meetings with Putin and everything where nobody's allowed to take notes or nobody's allowed to be in there with them, stuff like that. It makes you wonder even more so, that there is proof of obstruction.
But it's like, when it all comes down to it, this whole story, everybody is just doubling down.
Yeah.
Like, Mueller doubled down on his report, like basically saying, like, look, I want the report to speak for itself. Like, I laid forth the evidence. I'm not going to say like anything as far as what should be done from here. I leave that to Congress to act upon.
And you know what? I think it's very professional that he's like, you know what? The report's done. The investigation's done. This is the report. It needs to be seen by the American public.
Mm-hmm.
My job is done. I'm resigning from the Justice Department.
Yeah.
He did his job. He didn't like super politicalize it or anything like that. He did his job. He's done with his job. He's moving on.
Well, and that's the other thing is that really it's kind of that same level of professionalism as to why he will not say for certain one way or the other. He presented the evidence exactly the way that he was supposed to. It's not his decision to make, and so he's not going to make the decision.
Yep.
He's leaving it in the hands of the people who are supposed to be making that decision, which is Congress.
Yeah.
And so it's really, good on him. I think it's a good thing that he is being so firm on this stance.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that he's trying to say things as plainly as he can without getting in the way of, what it is. Because the thing is, if he were to issue an opinion one way or the other, then that paints the report itself.
Yep.
If he were to say, oh, well, I think Trump is a bad president and I think we should get rid of him. Well, then that whole report is biased now.
Yep.
For the report to actually have any meaning, he has to stay neutral on this.
Yep. I mean, it would basically be like Barr's statement.
Mm-hmm.
And everything Barr has done. Because the Attorney General, he's supposed to be defending the country.
Right.
Not the president.
Right. But further, the Republicans are doubling down on their stance of, no collusion, no obstruction. And it's just, that's blatantly false.
Yeah.
Mueller even explicitly stated, if there were not evidence of obstruction, if there were no basis for obstruction, I would say so.
Yep. He did.
But I can't say that there wasn't obstruction.
Yeah. So with that willful ignorance of
Mm-hmm.
Republicans, or conservatives, whatever, it all boils down to how everybody gets their news.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole, fake news. Oh, everything is fake news except for Fox News. Fox News is the only unbiased news network, which is not true at all. They are very, very right.
I mean, there are very, very few unbiased.
Yeah, and I mean right
outlets.
as in right and left, not
right.
not correct.
They're on the conservative side.
Yeah, very conservative.
Yeah, I mean, there are very few news sources that are not biased because people tend to be biased, and most people don't have a level of professionalism that prevents them from putting their opinion into their work.
Yep. And one thing that I do whenever I find news articles, and sometimes may seem like too good to be true, or whether it just seems one-sided, mm-hmm. I go and I look up the bias for every single news source. And Fox News is in on the bias, it says if they're left, right, center, extreme right, extreme left,
mm-hmm.
breaks it down. And there's multiple sites that do this. I mean, you could Google it, it'll give you a list.
Yeah.
You click on each one, get informed on it, really, like the listeners,
mm-hmm.
if you're not. They also on these fact check sites, bias sites, and everything that break everything down, they also say if they how factual their news reports are. Fox is mixed on reporting facts, so they're not always reporting facts.
Right.
Where there's a lot of other news networks. PBS is apparently the most unbiased news network here, well, at least here. Which
is kind of interesting. I mean, as a function, they kind of function very much in the space provided by liberalism.
Yeah.
It's publicly funded, to a large extent.
Yep.
It's kind of like NPR.
Mm-hmm.
NPR tends to be very liberal.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the nature of what it is.
Mm-hmm. Now with that, so I was looking up, I was like, okay, well, what's the most, and I was looking at it earlier this week. I was like, what's the most unbiased news network? Now I have a few of them that I follow and I get emails from that John Oliver had put up. He was like, these are the ones that are the most unbiased. These are the places you can get news from. One of his episodes a few years ago or a couple years ago. But I was looking it up, and it's pretty, I don't know. I think it's pretty scary. And it just goes to show how much, especially Republicans, only watch Fox News.
It's that Fox News brain.
Yep, Fox News brain. And it's just willful ignorance. That's all it is. It's willful ignorance. I'm not saying that Republicans are stupid and that Democrats are smart. Like, that's not the case.
It can happen to anybody. Like, it even does happen to some people on the liberal side.
Oh yeah. You have it. You have it both ways. You have people that just take something that's anti-Trump, whether it's true or not, they run with it.
Yeah. It's confirmation bias. They want it to be true, and so in their mind, it's true.
Yeah. So, like the net bias scores for 17 different news providers or news organizations. For the net bias for Democrats and Republicans for this survey, it was done in September. It's on Business Insider. It was done in September 2018. So it's not that long ago.
Yeah, pretty recent still, within the last year.
Yeah. I mean, PBS News is at the top with a positive 31 that it's unbiased from both Democrats, Republicans. It's just the net from both of those, while Fox News has a negative 51. And I'm going to put links to all this stuff that we're going to be talking about today, because, I mean, Mueller report's pretty important. I don't know how much we're going to talk about it, but...
Well, at least concerning, like, U.S. politics, it is very important.
Yeah, so I'm going to be putting links of this Business Insider article, as well as a couple Reddit posts that were made after yesterday's Mueller statement. But the two, like, most biased, like, across the board, Democrats, Republicans, the most biased on this is Breitbart News and Fox News.
Yeah. And that's not really a large surprise.
Yeah. And while the most unbiased is PBS News, AP, and NPR. That's the top three. Now, for Democrats, AP, PBS News, and ABC News are the top, like, unbiased. And there's a pretty big list of unbiased stuff. And there's where Fox News and Breitbart News are way down at the bottom with huge negative numbers on these charts.
Yeah.
But the scary thing right here is because, like, on this chart you have a bunch of blue for what Democrats consider unbiased news. Now, some of it is not unbiased, for sure. I mean, CNN is very left, but they do actually report factual news most of the time.
Net unbiased doesn't necessarily mean they're not biased. It just means that on the whole, they report more factually than they do on a bias.
Yes. And CNN, well, I mean, that's one of the big ones that, I mean, I grew up being told, oh, Clinton News Network and and shit like that. Oh, man. But there's a pretty big list of news sources that Democrats get their news from. Now, you scroll down, and I hope y'all are going, like, clicking these links and looking at this while we're talking about it. And then you scroll down to the net bias scores of news organizations for Republicans and Republican leaners. You have Fox News and the Wall Street Journal with a +3 and a +2 on both of those, while, like, all the other news networks they say are completely biased and they can't trust anything from it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how bad it is. People that watch Fox News do not want to watch anything else.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is Fox News is very mixed on factual reporting. Like, to go back, I don't remember the date, I don't remember the year, but Fox News was getting sued or under investigation for reporting false news. They won the case because They said we are not a news organization. We are an entertainment organization.
Well, and that's the thing. So many, so much of everything now, especially news, is treated as entertainment.
Yeah.
Because it's about getting views. It's about getting people watching. And it's not necessarily about spreading any kind of actual factual information.
Yeah. Yeah. So Fox News won the case of them not reporting facts because they don't have to report facts because they're an entertainment, not a news source. Mm-hmm. That's how they won that case.
Oh, just one more thing I kind of wanted to touch on before we move on. When I was saying that everybody's kind of double downing on the whole Mueller report situation, mm-hmm. you're also seeing like within the Democrats, two distinct factions that both are double downing on their stance. You have the Democrats that are pushing for impeachment now, like they want to start proceedings yesterday.
Yeah.
And this has just reinforced that idea. Like once Mueller came out and essentially just parroted his report and said, read the report.
Yeah.
Like it's got them all in a tizzy about, we have to impeach right now.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side, like the more moderate, like fundamentalist Democrats that are like, well, we don't even want to talk about impeachment right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't say that stance is necessarily wrong, because right now, if impeachment were to happen, if the House were to say, okay, well, let's start impeachment proceedings now, it would essentially just amount to a statement of disapproval.
Yeah.
Like nothing would come out of it. Like the Senate, like the GOP in the Senate has already been very clear that they would not let any kind of impeachment proceeding progress.
Yeah.
And since that's the first stop, it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, at a certain point, I think a statement kind of does need to be made, but it's just, I don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah, it really is.
And when it really comes down to it, the Mueller statement, like him coming out, didn't actually do anything but reinforce everybody and whatever ideas they already had to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess makes sense because he didn't really say anything new. But the thing that frustrates me is I feel like a lot of people don't realize that he didn't say anything new. And I think in some cases, especially in the case of the Republican, they're expecting and wanting that the American people don't realize that anything is off.
Yeah.
Like it kind of feels like in their complete denial that there was anything found for obstruction at all, that they're basically discounting the American people. They're basically saying, oh, well, the American people are too stupid to realize that we're just bullshitting you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody's going to read it.
No.
I sent you this one article, or not an article, but it's a comment by PM Dolphin Picks. PM _Dolphin _picks, because they want dolphin picks apparently.
Okay.
But they actually put it out there. They're like, hey, Mueller basically said that people should read the report, but the huge problem is 90 to 95+% are not gonna read it.
Right.
But for those of you that have not read it, don't care to read it, I mean, it's a bunch of legalese and a bunch of stuff that I mean, it's probably going to be some of it's probably not going to make sense, like just the way it's worded and everything like that. But I haven't actually read it myself. I've just gotten little bits here and there from the redacted report, and I haven't really gotten into this. Is more information, like is less stuff like blocked out for being able to be read, or is it still just all riddled with
there's
redactions?
There are still some parts of it that are redacted, but a large part of the redaction has been removed.
Okay.
Now, I would also say that if you are interested in looking into it, but you don't necessarily have the time to read through it, or you don't feel like you can quite comprehend what's being said with all the legal mumbo jumbo here and there are some good sources out there that work to break down everything that's said into more digestible and understandable parts. Mm-hmm. One really, really good analysis of it, I feel, is the YouTube channel Legal Eagle.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like he does a very good breakdown of it. Like he explains everything very clearly in easy to understand terms about what the report is actually saying.
Yep. Definitely check out Legal Eagle. Because not only does he break down the Mueller report just to help understand it for people that aren't lawyers. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of other funny videos too.
He does.
He breaks down TV show lawyer cases and stuff like he covers bird law for
yeah, he does
for Always Sunny.
Yeah.
But this PM Dolphin Picks, he like props to this person. I don't know if they're a guy or girl or whatever, but
how progressive of you.
Huh?
How progressive.
Oh
of
yeah.
you.
But he gave links to the audio versions of it. And I'm gonna put his comment in the links in the episode description. But there's an Audible link to the full Mueller report, 19 hours long.
It's a very long report. I will not claim that I have read all of it because I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, but beginning to end, Audible, it's free, completely free. You can download the app for free, play it. Now, it is all in one big chunk, but for podcast listeners, it is on Spotify. It is on Google Podcast. It's on Apple Podcast. So there's really no excuse not to listen to this. And they're and on the podcast, they're broken down into chapters for each section. Like the first one covers like the first 2 pages, and then and there's chapters, so it's all broken down for you.
Right.
Easy to listen to, compacted episodes. You can listen to one, go do something else, listen to another one, and just eventually get through 19 hours of it. And if not, inform your friends. Let other people know that, like, this needs to be read. This needs to be listened to. And there's another one where Vice News did a live reading of it on YouTube. And now the video's still out there. Now they do give a disclaimer here that there was errors and stuff like that because it was a live reading. Right. So they couldn't really edit it. Right. But that video is out there as well. Now, another person, PoppinKREAM, made a comment.
I did see that link you sent.
And I really like this one. And this is even more so why it needs to be read. Why the American public needs to read the Mueller report, because in this comment by PoppinKREAM, and I will link it as well, he breaks down with links to articles like backing up his statements here. So Attorney General Barr has shown his unwavering loyalty to President Trump and has made some extra concerning decisions to protect the president. His job is not to protect the president. Right. His job is to defend and protect the American people.
Right.
So, and this is from a New York Times article, just his breakdown of it. Attorney General Barr's decision to summarize the report and release cherry-picked findings in a March 24th letter to Congress. And that was, yeah. If you've been keeping up with it, you know about that. But there's a link to that happening. There's another one. Attorney General Barr's decision to withhold summaries Mueller's team wrote about their findings that were intended for easier public consumption. So he's withholding stuff.
Right.
from the report, like on purpose to defend the president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, links there too. Another one was Attorney General Barr reportedly decided to brief the White House on the report before releasing it to Congress.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, it's so that he can prime everybody for what he wants people to think about it.
Yeah. That's why, like, whenever it was released, his statement was out, and immediately Trump's tweeting, oh, no collusion, no collusion, no collusion, because that's what he was told. He doesn't know what the fuck's in it. It's too long. Attorney General Barr's decision to hold a press conference to put his own spin on Mueller's investigation before lawmakers and the public could obtain the report.
Mm-hmm.
And before William Barr was nominated by President Trump, he penned a memo defending the executive branch of government and asserted that the president could not obstruct justice. And there's links. There's links to all this.
Which is ridiculous.
Like, he was nominated because he would defend the president.
Well, I mean, that definitely seems to be the prime reason why he was put forth by Trump was, hey, this guy's going to protect me from obstruction charges.
Mm-hmm. And then also another link, and this goes back to an article from 1992 in the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and this is PoppinKREAM. It should also be noted that Attorney General Barr was involved in the aftermath of the Iran-Contra scandal, where the Reagan administration illegally sold arms to Iran and used that money to fund rebels of Nicaragua. During his first tenure as the Attorney General, Barr advised President Bush Sr. to pardon Reagan administrator officials who had broken the law.
Mm-hmm.
So this dude already has a bad track record.
Of essentially protecting the executive branch.
Yep.
Which is absolutely not what the Attorney General is supposed to be doing.
Yep. Especially not protecting anybody from illegal activity.
Right.
Which is what he is good for and what he was chosen for the job back then and now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you take that as you will. I'm going to be putting the links here. They have links to it, their sources, where they got it from. They give credit to the people
mm-hmm.
that found this news out or reported the news or just contributed to their own post.
Right.
I'm not going to go through all the names because it's all going to be there.
Right. Well, I think that's maybe enough of that kind of heavy stuff for today.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should probably move on to something more enjoyable.
But just educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying everybody hasn't, but there's people out there.
Yeah. And that's something that I really wish more than anything I could really get across to the citizens of the United States at large, because it feels like we're quickly losing control. Well, we haven't had control in a long time, but it feels like just such a lack of control because of misinformation or just plain ignorance.
Yep. And not saying everybody is stupid. Now, there's some stupid shit that people are believing.
Technically, ignorance doesn't necessarily imply stupidity.
Oh, yeah. And that's why I say willful ignorance, because they're willfully ignoring all news sources except for their beloved Fox News. So, I mean, that's willful ignorance, and it's fucked up, and you need to change.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. So I started watching Barry yesterday.
Oh, Barry?
Yes.
Yeah. I need to actually watch the second season now, but
I'm like 5 episodes in now. Fucking amazing show. If you got HBO, if you still have HBO from picking it up like me, for Game of Thrones, for the final season of Game of Thrones. And you're trying to make it through all the shows that you've missed and everything, because I went through Silicon Valley. I'm caught up on it, and I started Barry, and it's just amazing.
Barry is an absolutely phenomenal show, and Bill Hader is just one of the funniest actors there is right now.
Oh yeah, dude cracks me up so much.
He is amazing, and it's really. I mean, it's well thought out. Like it's well structured. Like the story is actually pretty compelling, despite being what's essentially a dark comedy.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
But yeah, it's, I mean, in a nutshell, it's about a guy like ex-military who becomes a hitman. And on one of his jobs, he follows his mark, who ends up going into like an acting class. He follows him there, like ends up like on stage and kind of in the spotlight, and is kind of prompted to act. And he doesn't really know what to do at the time, but he kind of feels this calling, like this is what he really wants to do.
Yeah.
And so he wants to try and quit being a hitman so that he can become an actor.
Yeah. It's not easy for him to quit being a hitman when he's got a lot of problems from that.
Oh yeah. But definitely check it out. It is a great show. It's compelling, it's hilarious. Like it has Henry Winkler in it. How can you say no to Henry Winkler?
Oh man, one of my favorite scenes so far. Henry Winkler. If you don't know who Henry Winkler is, he's the Fonz. Hey. He I mean, I guess a lot of people might not even know who the Fonz is, but
or
the coach from Waterboy.
Yeah, the coach from Waterboy. Or he was the lawyer in Arrested Development.
Yep. Yeah. But
or he was in Parks and Rec.
Yes.
As Mona Lisa and Ralphio's father.
Yes. Yep. One of my favorite scenes so far, and it's kind of a small scene, doesn't have anything to do with Barry, but Henry Winkler's character is sitting down dinner with the investigator that's investigating the murder of Barry's Mark.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying so hard just to get her to like him, and he's coming on to her really strong, and he eventually breaks her down during this dinner, and mm-hmm. she just says this one thing. She's like giving him eyes and just like and she's like, I'm gonna drop kick you, and I'm gonna beat the shit out, and everybody's gonna cheer while I beat the shit out of you in this restaurant. And he's like, and I'll let you do it. I lost it. Like I was laying in bed, and I was afraid I was gonna wake up Billie Jean because I just busted out laughing. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
this is a really funny show. But yeah, that one's definitely a must watch if you're still on your HBO subscription.
Yeah.
Another one, Silicon Valley, like you mentioned briefly, absolutely fantastic show. There's 5 seasons now, I think.
Yeah, 5. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a good one to check out. Like it's more of a straight comedy, but it is hilarious.
Yeah, and it's a Mike Judge show.
Yeah, it's a Mike Judge show.
Like he created it. Like everything that Mike Judge does, I love.
Oh yeah.
All the way back to Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill.
But yeah, great stuff. Also, and I'm not terribly far in myself, but it was something I was thinking about watching anyway. And then, at the listener suggestion, had mentioned it, and it kind of prompted me to start getting into it. Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've actually started watching it. I've gotten a handful of episodes in so far. Still a long way to go. But first impressions on the show, it is actually a really fun show. Like I think the best explanation that I can give for it is that it's kind of like if you mashed up like House and like a crime procedural show like NCIS or something.
Huh.
Like the character is very much like a House, like that kind of, I guess, kind of anti-hero type personality where they're just really like self-interested and narcissistic.
And is he actually the devil?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's very
Lucifer.
forthright about that. Like even from the beginning, like this is actually Lucifer Morningstar, the actual devil and ruler of hell.
Yeah. And I got that. I got that vibe from the commercials.
Yeah, they're very forthright about that. It's not like a secret. Like from the very first part of the show, like they're very clear on that point.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, he's very narcissistic, like self-interested, and like he still has that kind of air of superiority because he is just kind of better than everyone else. Like very very similar to how like House operates.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like a big part of the vibe that I get from it, and just the way that it's played. Like the actors do a really good job of portraying this whole thing. And I can only imagine like that they just had so much fun actually filming this show.
Nice.
Like, I mean, just it's one of those things where he's so like stuck up about these kinds of things that it's comical.
Yeah, I need to watch it.
Like it's definitely good. Like it's definitely something I'm going to continue watching. And I would like to talk more about like once I've gotten more under my belt. But I'm about halfway through the first season. There are 4 seasons, and I think in total it's like 60 some odd episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like across 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to catch up on.
It is.
I haven't even started yet.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a lot to catch up on, but really good stuff.
What, and Netflix picked them up, right?
Yeah, Netflix picked them up, and all of the episodes are on Netflix.
Nice.
So that's an easy way to watch that. Also on Netflix, though, there's I Think You Should Leave.
Oh my God, yes, I told you about that. It's really easy to get through. 15, 20 minute episodes?
Oh,
like
yeah.
Not long at all.
There's 6 episodes. Each one's like, teens minutes.
Yeah, was Tim Robinson?
Yeah, Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
From SNL. And I guess he's done a couple of other things. There was a show that I wasn't really aware of called Detroiters.
Yeah.
That he was in. That I don't know. I might have to check out, but apparently that one's already like canceled, ended.
Nice. But and I think even Andy Samberg is he produces it.
Yeah, and they definitely have appearances from various people. Like one of the sketches early on has Will Forte, and it is just just amazing. Will Forte is just
I love Will Forte.
Just a gem.
Yeah.
Andy Samberg does make an appearance in it.
Yes, I think he's in the last episode.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There was Glenn.
Yeah, Glenn.
I don't remember his name, but Glenn from The Walking Dead.
It's like Stephen Ewan, I think, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, he's in one of the episodes.
Oh God, like he took too small of a slice. But it's a sketch comedy show on Netflix. It's a Netflix original, and the whole premise behind it is the skits that were too much for SNL. For broadcast television, because I mean it's uncut.
Yeah,
yeah. But they have a lot of SNL cast members,
right?
Coming ex SNL cast members, and I don't know if any current SNL cast members are on it.
I'm not actually sure,
but as recent as like some recent departures from the cast or on this show, like in one skit,
and for the most part they change out the cast for most skits.
Yeah,
like
they have some repeating guys like Tim Robinson. There's one guy, he's the leading the babies baby of the year. I can't think of what it's called, the dude up on the stage,
the MC.
Yeah, the MC for baby of the year is just, oh my God, that was the 3rd sketch on the first episode. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm gonna love this show. The first 2 were funny, but then that one is just like, fuck you, Harley Jarvis, and I lost it. And then I couldn't stop watching it. I've watched it 3 times now. The entirety of the first series or season, I've watched it 3 times now, and I love sketch comedy. I love SNL. I love Mad TV. Key and Peele. What's another one?
Like some of the older ones.
Dana Carvey show.
Kids in the Hall or Whitest Kids You Know.
Yep. Yep. Fucking all that. No.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that.
All that.
In Living Color.
Yeah.
Oh man. In
Oh,
Living
yeah.
Color is still one of my favorite sketch comedy
Another
shows
really
to this
big
day.
one. Short-lived, but just about everybody involved with it got big.
Yeah. Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey came from
Jim
there.
Carrey, like the Wayans.
The Wayans.
Like
All the
Tommy
Wayans.
Davidson, David Allen
yep.
Greer.
Yep.
Like I think it was J-Lo even that was a dancer on In Living Color.
Yes, she was. She was a dancer on In Living Color. Yep. But
So-
that's where all the Wayans, like, they really got a big name from it and just blew up from In Living Color. I mean, some of them did stuff before that.
Yeah.
But a lot of them blew up after that. But sketch comedy's awesome.
Sketch comedy is great. Like it really there's something to be said for that idea of just taking like a funny premise or like a singular joke and just building a small scene around it without having to worry about tying it into other things or making sense in a larger storyline. It's just about a funny situation or a joke.
Yeah. Oh, there's a YouTuber. I don't know if you've watched his stuff, but Gus Johnson.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, you gotta look up Gus.
Mhm.
Gus Johnson. I hope he gets on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Like, this dude is on point. I think he's like 23 years old. Like, he just hit a million subscribers this year, and he just does little short sketch comedy, just videos. Like, some of them are really short, some of them are long. He does music, like he does everything, and he's just like, the dude is full of endless ideas, and I hope that gets recognized by the people at SNL, and he can get on there, or hell, fucking start his own thing. That'd be awesome. He's even got a podcast too, so.
Well, and you know, SNL does have at least a small history of musically talented comedians.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the entire idea of the Blues Brothers came from SNL.
Yup. Adam Sandler.
Yeah, Adam Sandler would often do stuff like
The Lonely
Lonely
Island.
Island. Yep, like that was an SNL start basically.
Speaking of the Lonely Island, they also have a Netflix original.
I
special.
noticed that. I haven't
Oh my
checked
God.
it out yet, but I need to.
The Bash Brothers. It
Like-
is fucking amazing.
I really need to check that out.
Yes. I saw it right after watching I Think You Should Leave
Mm-hmm.
the second time. I ended up watching the Bash Brothers like right after it, and just one sit through, just watch the whole thing, and it's
Yeah.
just music videos. It's just like 30 minutes of music videos from Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire during their Bash Brother years.
Yeah, man, and you know, I gotta say, like, Lonely Island is just great.
Oh yeah.
Like, all of their stuff is awesome, and really catchy. Like, some real earwigs within their library.
Was it On a Boat? Like,
Yeah, I'm on a boat.
I'm on a boat. like a boss.
Yeah,
I mean, that was their first album.
yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah, that was just off of their first album. Like, and they actually continued pretty well.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
Like-
they've even done movies together.
Mhm.
Well,
Well,
Hot Rod.
I mean, but that was actually before their first album, I think. Even,
Really?
I mean, that was pretty early on.
Had they even done the Lonely Island stuff on SNL at that point?
I'm not even really
Was that
sure.
before?
I know that Hot Rod was pretty early.
Yeah. So I think I saw Hot Rod after I actually knew about the Lonely Island. Like, I knew about the movie, I just never watched it.
I actually
Until-
ended up seeing it at an early screening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Joe's mom had tickets to an early screening.
Nice.
It was 2007 was when Hot Rod came out. So their first studio album wasn't until 2009.
Okay.
I'm trying to see. Okay, the earliest like Lonely Island related sketches from SNL look to be in 2005.
Okay.
So it looks
was-
like they were already doing it with SNL. Well, and it also showed from what I was looking at that they had actually met and formed the group in 2001.
Oh, wow.
So I
Wow.
mean, they had already been kind of going around as like a comedy trio
That's pretty
beforehand.
cool. Huh.
But But yeah, so they started like the Lonely Island stuff on SNL like 2005. Hot Rod came out a couple years later, and then they actually put out an album a couple years after that.
Nice. Yeah, so they're brilliant. Like I love Andy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He's awesome.
They are the greatest fake MCs on earth.
Yes, they are. Now, while we're on comedy, I came across through our the Discord network, Podcast Junkies.
Yeah.
Or Podcast Junkie. I guess we're all podcast junkies, but
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't gotten on the Discord for Podcast Junkies, we have our own channel on there. So if you want to talk about episodes, you just talk to us. Like, just go to Something More to Podcast channel. But there's lots of podcasts on there. There's lots of listeners. Like, it's a good place for both creators and listeners to network and either learn and ask questions about podcasting or to find new podcasts to listen to. And I've definitely, it's broadened my horizons as a listener, as well as a creator.
Yeah.
But this one guy, and he's just started. Like he's got like 7 episodes or something on YouTube now. He does video. He does a video podcast. He's Atticus Hinkley. And he does the Intergalactic Candy Cast. And I wasn't sure about it originally. I was like, what the fuck is the Intergalactic Candy Cast? Like, what the fuck is that? But once you listen to the show, it just makes sense, and it's hilarious. Like, I gave it a review yesterday. I just left him a comment, and I was like, it's like if Robin Williams and Will Forte had a baby, and then that baby created a baby that fucked business. Which you would have to listen to his most recent episode, his Memorial Day episode. I think it's called the Piss Bucket Challenge. You'd have to listen to that to understand. But I've gone back now and listened to the first episode, and I'm trying to make my way through that. And it's just, he didn't have video on the first episode. He was still working on getting everything set up, but he wanted to go ahead and start the show. I mean, we did the same thing. Our audio quality got better over time, but it's a really funny dude. Like, I don't know, it's unique. It is very, very unique. It kind of reminds me of I don't know, his voice kind of reminds me of Robin Williams at times, and then other times it reminds me of shit that Will Forte does, and I'm trying to think of, like, you were saying it earlier
about what?
That's like ventriloquism.
Oh yeah. So like, it's the way that he kind of does things is he basically plays multiple characters, much like a ventriloquist act would, like say Jeff Dunham, like where he may have like 1 or 2 puppets with him, and he'll play the parts of all 3, both himself and the puppets that he's doing. But instead of doing it like a ventriloquist would, where it's just all done by changing his own voice and things, he's doing it by way of like a voice modulator, like a voice changer.
Yeah, and there's no interruption in between the voices. Like, it's smooth. It's a smooth transition. I don't know.
So yeah, I mean, if you enjoy like ventriloquist comedy, like that kind of idea of like a guy just playing a bunch of characters and talking to himself, basically.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely the kind of thing that this is.
Yeah. I instantly just fell in love. I had to send you the link. I was like, you got to check this dude out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to listen to and watch.
Yeah. And you know, it still just amazes me that anybody can, I mean, it just keep all of that in their head. Like, yeah. It's just amazing to me, because
it's definitely a lot of improv.
Oh yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. It's like, because it's like you have all these characters just kind of going around and at any given time, like just, you know, going into one or the other, or responding as one or the other, and all this stuff. And it just seems like so much to keep track of.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm doing good to play one character in D&D.
Oh shit. Yeah. I mean, there's times I struggle. Like I can't. I don't use any voice modulation, of course, when we're playing D&D. But I mix voices up sometimes and mix accents up. It's hard to keep track of sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, he's talented for sure. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. And I figured bring that up because we were on comedy and that kind of stuff, and that's a new addition to my favorite YouTube stuff. So
yeah, and definitely like it's I mean that's what this is all about anyway. That's just talking about things that we enjoy or are concerned with or whatever. So
yeah,
that's kind of the point.
So. Moving on to video games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed, but I started playing Red Dead 2.
I had not noticed, no.
Red Dead Redemption 2. For those of you that don't know whether you played Red Dead online or not, the beta is done, and they have released the full live version of Red Dead Online.
Mm-hmm.
And holy shit, it's fucking awesome. Like there's microtransactions and all that, but I feel like they're not that bad, really. I mean, you can earn money actually pretty easily now, where you don't have to spend the gold or anything like that. You get gold really easily. At no point have I felt like I need to buy gold to play the game.
Right.
I mean, really, you have to level up to unlock stuff anyways, and in that time, you're going to earn money. The problem with the beta was that it felt empty. There was nothing in it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no wildlife. There was no random encounters. There was, like, no ambushes or anything like that. There was very little, like, oh, you go and save these people. There was just, like, bases, bad guy bases, and you just took them out. Side missions were kind of scarce. Main story missions ended at like 5 missions. I think they added some as time progressed, but I stopped playing it just because I love the single player version. Amazing game. It's worth it in itself just to play the single player game.
Mm-hmm.
But online, I like it better than Grand Theft Auto Online for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Which I kind of liked it when it first came out, but I eventually lost interest just because it was just way too expensive to do anything in that game. If you wanted the new stuff, like you had to basically buy shark cards.
Yeah, that's no good. Like, I mean, I'm not opposed to any kind of transactions, like microtransactions, whenever it doesn't. As long as it's basically refined to maybe making something easier. Like if you're talking about something that's so restrictive that it just wouldn't be feasible to do it without purchasing something, like that's kind of across the line for me.
Yeah. And another thing that I had with the beta, that I had against the beta for Red Dead Online, was there was no way to turn off like aggressive people attacking you, other players. So you couldn't just enjoy the game, which there was nothing to enjoy at the time because you couldn't even go hunting.
Yeah.
And that was like my favorite thing to do in the single player, was just exploring and hunting and selling pelts and meat and everything to make money.
Yeah.
Loading up a cart with furs or a train with furs and then take it to the butcher and make a shit ton of money. Now, I don't do that now. I mean, I feel you make a pretty good amount of money. There's lots of wildlife. Like you could just hunt. Like it's basically a hunting simulator to me right now, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
But you also have main story missions that are just really good. The story's really good. You have side missions that actually tie to NPCs that were in the single player game. Like they have been added. Like there's one family that it's a brother and sister. It's definitely an incest like thing going on there.
Yeah.
But they hire you in online to go hunt people down and bring them to them. I don't know why. I mean, it's it's suggested what they're doing, but they don't flat out say it. But there's all the little side NPCs in the single player game that are out in these obscure cabins and different locations and stuff like that are now in the online, and they actually hire you to do stuff, and it's fun.
That's good. Because that's definitely something that any online game needs to keep in mind is you have to have the content to keep people interested.
Yeah. Now, I hope that they add housing or to buy land to have a ranch and like run a ranch and stuff like that. I mean, it's basically just a simulator. Yeah, but it's awesome graphics, like awesome just game mechanics in general for combat and everything. I've even been playing in first person to get it's a completely different game.
Oh, I bet.
Than playing in third person, because like you're hunting, you're lassoing, you're throwing pelts or carcasses on your horse and everything, and it's just like it would be an amazing VR game. Like I'm sure people play it with VR, and I've never really wanted to play VR. At least not recent. I did when I was a kid, and I was disappointed.
I feel like for me, VR still isn't to that point where like I'm really enticed. Like
price tag's too high.
It would be cool, I guess, but yeah, I'm not paying that much extra money for something that just seems like a neat gimmick.
Yeah, and for me, like I don't have kids, but I have 2 dogs, 3 cats.
Right.
Like I can't have a headset on my head and not pay attention to them as well. Like I'm already playing a video game and they're doing their things, but I can at least keep an eye on them. Right.
It's something else entirely when you're more or less removing yourself from reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, VR is not a thing that I would ever invest in myself. I do feel like it is very gimmicky, but I think Red Dead Online would be fun with VR, just in first person. But third, I mean, it's a completely different game, just completely different experience, and it's fun to play both ways.
Man, I tell you, like on the realm of video games, I'm maybe slightly worried for like a month from now. Like a month from now is going to be really busy.
Yeah.
Well, because there are in particular 3 things that are coming up like kind of end of June that have really caught my attention. Of course, you have Mario Maker 2.
Yeah.
You have Shadowbringers, like the expansion for Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
And you also have Bloodstained.
Oh, like Bloodstained.
The crowdfunded Castlevania,
yes.
the spiritual successor.
Yes, Metroidvania.
Yep. Yeah, so that's finally coming out. Like it's coming out like on most platforms. I think the 18th maybe, and it's coming out like a week later on Switch.
Yeah. Did you ever get the other one that they made on PlayStation? Right, it's on PlayStation. It might be on other things too.
I didn't end up picking that one up yet. No,
it's pretty fun. You play 3 different characters that you can switch between, and they each have their own abilities and stuff for getting through the levels. It's a lot of fun.
I do enjoy the Metroidvania style in general. Like it's a really good style of game, I think.
Yeah. And what's it's Bloodstained
Ritual of the Night.
Ritual of the Night, yeah.
Is the subtitle.
I don't remember the name of the old one, but but it was something like
the
that.
The tied over one that they did that was like 8-bit graphics, I think.
Yeah, it was 8-bit or 16-bit. I think it was 8-bit. Now the Ritual of the Night is nice and smooth looking and
It's like the extent of what you could hope to see in like 16-bit graphics, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's amazing to me what indie games have been able to do with those, like, you know, what was considered like lesser graphics. It's amazing what they can do with it now.
Yeah. And like like growing up, I think I spent more time on Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest more than any other game that I played as a kid.
Oh, well, you do know there is actually a Konami Castlevania collection out for Switch now.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I might have to pick that up.
It has most of the titles from NES and Super NES on it.
Nice.
And it also has, I think, one from Sega Master System. Like, it doesn't have quite everything, but it has most of them. It has 1, 2, 3, and 4. It has like a couple of side games, both Game Boy games. And it has Kid Dracula.
Huh. Nice. I never actually played that, but I always saw it at Blockbuster and in movies.
but yeah, like so that's something to look forward to. I know Konami's been really big on that whole releasing collections thing. Like, I think they either have recently or were going to release a shooters collection. So stuff like Galaga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Konami has an amazing collection of games.
Yeah, especially when you look at like the 8 and 16-bit eras.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they do have a very large library of games.
Yeah, they definitely dominated the gaming market back then as far as producing games.
I mean, you had like Castlevania, like all the like Galaga stuff, like the various offshoots of it. You had like Bomberman.
Yeah. Oh man,
you had and this one might be a little more obscure for some people, but Mystical Ninja Goemon.
I never played that.
It was a side scroller, like more like a platformer than a Metroidvania type thing.
Okay,
but it was not entirely. I guess really it would be better to say it was compared to something like Contra, not as like notoriously
like
hard,
kind of like Shinobi.
Yeah, like kind of like Ninja Gaiden or Contra,
Altered
but
Beast.
not as like notoriously hard as those.
Yeah, Altered Beast was hard.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
But most of those games were intentionally hard because they were designed as arcade games, and so the idea was you had to die often so that you would put more money in. So
that's
you
why
know
the Contra code was made.
Mm-hmm. the Konami code.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean Contra is all part of that too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like they were absolutely huge in the industry back then.
Yep. Back on TV shows.
Okay.
Swamp Thing is coming.
Ah, yes, you did send me the final trailer.
First episode is tomorrow. Today. If you're listening to this on the day it comes out, Swamp Thing comes out today on DC Universe. It's a DC Universe exclusive. So I understand if people don't want to get a subscription for that, if they're not interested in DC and stuff like that. But I'll let y'all know what I think about it next week because I'm definitely gonna watch it.
The trailers definitely look good.
Yeah, it really does. And I don't know, it doesn't look low budget. Like to me, I haven't watched Teen Titans yet because it's another DC Universe exclusive. Titans, yeah.
Yeah, because it's the original group with Dick Grayson.
Yep. And it looks like, to me, I haven't watched it yet, it looked kind of low budget to me. Which nothing's wrong with low budget. I just haven't watched it yet because I haven't gotten around to it.
Right.
And Doom Patrol. I haven't gotten around to watching that yet either, but I've seen really good things. I've seen really good reviews on Doom Patrol, and I saw something about how they were addressing disabilities in the show. I have no knowledge of what the Doom Patrol even is, so I have no opinion on anything on it. Or
somewhat obscure older DC like group comic.
Yeah, yeah. So,
like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's completely unknown. You would hear like references to it, like from like Teen Titans, sometimes, but it was definitely on the lesser known side of DC.
Yeah, it's probably as obscure as Superboy and the Ravers.
yeah, probably.
Which was just like a really short series for a year.
But yeah, it definitely goes back a pretty good ways. Like it was a bit older. Like I think they've done more modern iterations of it, but it goes pretty far back.
Okay. I need to get around to watching those. I mean, I just started Barry. I have more stuff I want to watch on HBO, so I can cancel HBO.
Just there's never enough time.
Yeah. And I want to go back and watch all the old John Oliver stuff that I've missed, because I've missed like 2 years of John Oliver now.
Oh man,
that's a lot. That's a lot to catch up on. I mean, they're only 30 minutes though, so
yeah. And I mean, if push comes to shove, you could always just watch like the main story, because most of the stuff outside of the main story is very like topical and dated.
Yeah.
As to what's going on in the week. The main stories oftentimes are a little broader in scope and don't necessarily like just span, well, this is what happened this week. And they're usually a lot more investigative and more of a general idea about what's going on in the industries at large.
Yeah. I'll probably watch it all though, because I mean, it's all very informative. Not just in this country, but in the world. He covers world news.
He makes fun of every country.
Yes, he does.
Like New Zealand and their imi.
But yeah. So I mean, I want to watch that. I want to finish Barry. I do want to watch Ballers. That's another 30-minute show. That
the one with Rob Corddry and The Rock.
Yeah, and man, I need to watch. I want to watch the newer the reboot of Jumanji, where it's a video game with the Kevin Hart, Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, and I don't remember the girl's name because I never seen her in anything before myself.
Wait, really?
Have I?
She was one of the companions for the Doctor, and
I never watched Doctor Who.
And she's also Nebula in the MCU.
Oh, is she Nebula? Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, I guess it'd be hard to recognize her. But she also plays Nebula in the MCU. And I'm trying to think of her actual name. It's not coming to me.
Yeah. But I haven't watched the movie yet. Actually, I was watching Jablinski Games, and he was doing an interview with her while they were playing a video game. But I don't remember her name.
But yeah, I don't know. I would say the reboot of Jumanji, it is a pretty decent movie. Like all in all, like it's not as bad as you would kind of expect it to be, because I don't know, like looking at it, I kind of expected it to be pretty bad.
Karen Gillan?
Yeah.
Is that how you say your last name?
I think it's actually pronounced Gillan.
Gillan. Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. She's Scottish.
Yeah, but I kind of like to me the premise of it, where it's a video game. They're not trying to reboot the Robin Williams Jumanji at all. No. Like it's its own thing.
I mean, if anything, it's kind of a continuation of that, but only very, very loosely.
Okay. Because I mean, the game's still around. They can't destroy the game. They just sunk it. It showed up in France. I just watched Jumanji the other day, so
right. But it does a good job of being its own thing and not trying to adhere too much to the old movies. And as per usual, like I think Jack Black is probably one of the highlights still in that movie.
I love Jack Black, like everything he does.
Like he's just a hilarious person.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him like as a person or anything, but he seems genuinely like just a nice dude.
Yeah.
Like watching Jablinski Games, he does that with his son.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, his son was like, "Hey, I want to do a YouTube channel, about games or whatever," and he's like, "Well, sorry, no video games this week. No gaming videos this week, but they do cover like arcade games, pinball." Like one episode they cover like this ancient Egyptian like board game, stuff like that, and just little fun like handheld games and
yeah,
all kinds of just cool stuff that is gaming, but it's not your traditional gaming videos that everybody is doing. It's very unique, and then it has that Jack Black touch to it.
Yeah, and yeah, I've liked him for a long time now. Like everything he's in, like he's hilarious in. Like even some of the like, I guess some of the earlier movies, like before he like really became as popular as he did, stuff like Shallow Hal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or like his part in Saving Silverman.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there was that. Yeah, I guess School of Rock was like a really big one after he made it big.
Yeah, like that was one of his earliest like really big ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even the stuff as Tenacious D, I think, is all great.
Yeah, like I like all the albums.
If anything, I wish they would put out another Tenacious D album finally.
Yeah, for real. KG is on an episode of Jablinski Games, and they play a card game together or something. I don't remember what it was, but it's pretty funny. They even do like this slow motion reenactment of the first time that they played a game together. So I don't remember what it was, but it's just goofy and funny.
And that's the thing. I think that's what makes him so likable. Is like his comedy generally is just goofy comedy.
Yeah, and like a lot of celebrities have been making YouTube channels and stuff like that. I could care less about every single one of them, except for Jablinski Games. Like, it is just good and it's fun, and it's just him just having fun with his kid.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a naturally funny person.
Yeah. Like,
it doesn't have to be like well thought out or anything else. It's just the way he is just, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just him in nature.
Yeah, it really is. Oh man. So big news. I haven't even told you yet. But the day this is airing, tomorrow, where me and Billie Jean are getting married.
Oh, awesome.
So gonna be married.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's nothing big, like nothing.
Right.
Like, we're just going to the courthouse, and the notary or the minister is just going to meet us there, and we pay them $85 and we're married.
And that's fine. Like, I think sometimes too much kind of gets caught up in the spectacle things.
Yeah.
Like people oftentimes try and do things like that too much to try and be seen or like impress people or whatever. And really, I think the key to a good marriage is that it shouldn't really be about any of that. Like, you should only marry somebody because they legitimately make you happy. Like, there's somebody that you actually want to be with. Like, that, you can actually have as part of your life for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And we made we got the marriage license like a month ago, like today.
Mm-hmm.
And then this past Monday we decided to do it Friday.
Yeah.
This week. So, I mean, I'm not a traditional kind of person. I'm not even big on celebrating holidays that I grew up celebrating, like Christmas and I mean, I have candy for kids on Halloween. Like, I
mean, if you're gonna pick a holiday, I think Halloween's the one to pick.
Yeah, the dogs get dressed up in costumes.
Yeah,
we don't get dressed up in costumes, but the dogs do because they're our kids.
Yeah,
But yeah, we've been together for almost 3 years now. We've lived together for over 2 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. That's good.
Yeah,
it's very good.
So that'll be exciting. Releasing the episode tomorrow morning and then going and getting married.
Yeah. Awesome. But yeah. I guess one other thing, as we're kind of wrapping up here. So coming up in the near future, we're likely going to have to do some shifting for at least our recording.
Yep.
We're not really certain yet if that's going to affect our actual release day. We will definitely let you know. I guess, let's see, because that would be, so the 21st of June, I think would be the release that would be affected.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 weeks from this week.
Okay.
So we should have 2 more episodes that should follow the same schedule after this one. And we might have to adjust from there, but we should let you know at least the week before.
Yeah.
just some stuff shifting. Like I'm actually getting a first shift job, which kind of changes around what's available for us to actually record.
Yeah. We'll probably, if we record it we probably will not record on Thursdays. Because right now we're recording in the morning, like bright and early in the morning, Thursday morning, and then I have time to edit it throughout the day, or a lot of times I wait till night, and I edit it like from midnight to like 3 a.m.
Right.
Or 2 a.m. or whatever.
But yeah, so we've got to figure that out, and we'll let you know. But there should be, I think, 2 more episodes after this one that will still be on Friday.
Yeah. And like really the only thing that might change is it'll just be recorded a couple days earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, days earlier instead of the day before.
Right. And it's that's all stuff we just got to figure out.
Yeah. And if we need to release on a different day, we'll release on a different day. And you'll still get, no matter what, you'll still get a weekly episode of Something More to Podcast.
Right.
We don't, like, I had the flu the past couple days, just stomach bug. And we almost didn't record today, but as it progressed last night, my stomach stopped bothering me, and I actually feel really good today to record.
Came down to a last minute decision.
Yeah. Just like, let's play it by ear. I don't want to get you sick because I don't want to get sick a week from now.
Right.
from you giving it to Barra or somebody, you know.
Right.
But no, we were able to do it, so here we are.
Yeah.
Again, I'm gonna throw an ornament at the end.
Okay.
Again, if you haven't checked out her most recent episode of an anonymous, like, definitely check it out. She goes into things that Americans don't know about Puerto Rico but should. And while John Oliver on Last Week Tonight, going back to him, he did cover some really good stuff on Puerto Rico and how they can't vote for the president. Right. And all that kind of stuff. He went into a bunch of stuff, but she goes into even more. And like it's crazy. It's crazy the stuff that this country has done to Puerto Rico over the years.
You know,
and you definitely need to listen to that episode. And in this week's episode, she's going more into I guess her family history. With people coming from Puerto Rico to the mainland, or the main states in New York and stuff like that. So definitely check that out.
Yeah. I think, sadly, one of the first things that most Americans, most U.S. citizens don't know about Puerto Rico is that they're all U.S. citizens too.
Yeah, but they do not have the same rights we do.
No. And it's sad. It's shitty. Wrong.
Yeah. And after listening to her episode last week, after I watched John Oliver's episode, I was like, these people need to become a state. But after listening to her episode, I'm like, they need to be a sovereign country. We need to let them go.
Yeah. One way or another, like it's where they are now is just not right.
Yeah. It's really bad.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we have for this week. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope you join us next week when we have something more to podcast.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Something More to Podcast. I'm the host of the Anonymous podcast, Anonymous. I'm an author, musician, and artist living in Vancouver, BC, Canada. Anonymous is a podcast that's part memoir, part journal, part lecture. Come join me every Friday as I delve into random topics. Available wherever podcasts are found.